Hi, I'm Cynthia Kahn, founder of Amused Now, and I'm here today with JC Little, the animated woman. Hey, JC.
Hey, Cynthia.
JC, you seem to infuse art into all aspects of your professional career. You create and produce an animated TV series, My Life Me. You have a mojo boosting app on Apple's App Store called Pickweasel. And you have a successful career as a public speaker and social media minx. I love how you mix playful drawings and cartoons with your public speaking.
Thank
What's
you.
your artistic background and how did you get started?
I might have been born with a crayon in my hand. I've been drawing since I was really, really small, and the story goes that my mom bought me these gigantic rolls of brown paper. I guess it was wrapping paper because it was just cheaper than buying lots and lots of separate pages of paper. So that's what I was drawing and painting on, and I remember my mom used to tell me this. She said I was really, really small, and she tried to show me how to draw something, and she was about to draw on my drawing, and apparently I whacked her hand, and the crayon flew across the room. I wasn't about to let her draw on my drawing. So it's been a long time that I've always been drawing and basically picturing my life in images.
Did you take art in college? I mean,
Oh
or is it
no.
all just natural?
Yeah, no. Ever since my parents, my mom, discovered that I was a drawer. After that, I never got toys for Christmas or my birthday. It was always art supplies. I remember being 5 and having to spend Saturday in an art class. And then, well, I grew up, right? And I went to university in graphic design. And while I was in graphic design, that's when I met an animator. I took a minor in animation. I started taking animation classes in university. And then I got work in animation, and I've just never looked back. It's been animation, animation, animation for over 30 years now.
So you truly are the animated woman. That's
I
not just a
am.
line.
I am, but I'm a very animated person. So
So how did your animated series, My Life Me, get picked up in multiple countries and the Disney Channel? That is so exciting.
yeah, that was really exciting. I think that most animators dream of making their own TV series or feature film or so I was one of those people, and um, I think throughout my career I touched on all these different aspects of the animation industry. Like I was an artist, and then I was an animator, and then I was um, involved in the infrastructure, so coordination and so on, and production. And I learned all about producing. I became a producer, and eventually I quit my job and started my own company because I wanted to produce my own content and become a content creator, content provider. So one of the things that I did was I created this concept for my TV series, and it was called My Life Me. And um, how I got that off the ground was interesting. What I did was I shared the concept with two friends of mine, and when I say I shared it with them, I shared the idea with them, which was just written as a treatment. And one of them was a writer, and she's very, very experienced in TV writing for kids, for animation, and the other one is a designer, and she is a published manga artist. So she was published by Zen Press and Tokyo Pop. She had her own, comic book series.
Right.
So I shared the concept with them, and I shared the copyright with them. So we were basically part owners of the property, and that really helped bring together the pitch package. So because they had a vested interest in it, you know, so
Exactly.
there's
That's a
no
good
energy
idea.
pushing it, and that's really what helped it come together so nicely. So I was guiding the whole process, and then we had a meeting with a broadcaster here in Canada, and the broadcaster actually really liked the project. And after that, I had lots of production houses trying to get me to work with them. So I needed to find a production house, but once you have a broadcaster interested, then it's like it's a really good bet that it's going to get their attention and get off the ground. So production houses were hungry for it, and that was really nice. So we ended up going with a particular production house called Carpe Diem, and me and my friends who were Svetlana Chmakova, she was the designer, and Cindy Filipenko was the writer. And we ended up selling the option to this company, Carpe Diem, and they managed to find the funding for the TV series. So the TV series was funded, and it was produced. We made it. They asked me to direct it, which completely, really shocked the beep out of me. And I was really happy about that. So I got to actually direct my own creation. And with regards to how it got distributed around the world, that was really down to the distribution company. So
What's a production house? Is it like an agent?
a production house serves two purposes. It is the executive producer, which means that they get the funding. So they find the money to make the series and turn it into a reality. And they also produce it, which means they hire all of the crew and the staff and
Oh, okay.
organize all of that, and we actually make the TV series. So
Oh,
they have to have a lot of experience. And broadcaster typically is much more comfortable with experienced production houses.
I can see why they have a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, well, there's a multi-million-dollar budget. It's super important that they know what they're doing because there's a lot of money at stake.
So, how do you market your animated apps like Pickle Weasel? How do you get yourself seen amidst all the flurry that's on the App Store?
Yeah, the app, it's it is really hard for me personally to market my own stuff. I'm not a great marketer for that kind of thing. So um, basically, all I'm doing is I have a Twitter account for it and a Facebook page for the app. But
Hmm.
that particular app is only out on iPad now, so it's kind of like
Okay.
a soft launch, and the big launch is going to be when it's ready for Android and the iPhone.
When are you going to have a big launch for the Android and the iPhone app of Pickle Weasel?
So the Pickle Weasel app, hopefully the Android and iPhone versions will be ready this summer. And when that happens, they'll do a much bigger launch. We'll have a launch party and probably some contests to give away, and that'll be all publicized and promoted on my Pickle Weasel Twitter accounts, which are the Pickle Weasel app on Twitter and the Pickle Weasel app on Facebook. It's a page. So.
Well, we met on social media, both Facebook and Twitter, and so you did talk about using both of those avenues to promote your applications and your other projects. So, is there any advice that you have for people on how to use social media and what works for you and what advice do you have basically?
Well, I first got on Twitter, God, it was almost 3.5 years ago now, and it was to sell these children's DVDs that my own company, Little Animation, produced. And when I got on Twitter, I very quickly realized that couldn't just sell something and say, hey, buy my thing, buy my DVD for kids. I started to engage with people, and I fell in love with people on Twitter. So that was a really big deal for me. I couldn't use a marketing voice. I had to really use my own voice. So the biggest piece of advice I'd say is use your own voice. Don't try to be anyone other than yourself. Be yourself. That's really the strongest thing that I could say. The most important thing. Yeah.
I agree, and that's advice I've heard from a lot of successful artists who use social media and use it well.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you have for artists just starting out who are interested in animation? There aren't a lot of people out there who talk about how to be successful. So, do you have any start out tips for young artists?
Yeah. It used to be that you couldn't do anything without a studio. So now we have everything we need at our fingertips. We can access all the software that we need to create something in our own homes, in our own home studios. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, I don't have the money, I don't have the time to make my film. I really want to make a film, but I can't because I really want to make my book, but I can't." You really just have to do it. You do have to make a little bit of sacrifice to do that, and it helps to have support around you. Your family and your friends. So I would say that if you want to do it, you should do it. Don't let anything stop you. Just do it. And if you need help, ask for it.
What applications do you suggest for just starting out? The ones that are, most affordable and give people the biggest bang for their buck and are easy to use.
If you want something really simple, and if you're just going to be drawing, the iPad and the apps that are available on the iPad are great, or any other tablet that has drawing apps. And that's because if you want to get into digital art, it's just way cheaper than if you're going to be working on a laptop or a desktop. You would have to have a Wacom tablet, which is
Oh, she's getting one.
one of these.
Can you put it up closer so we can see?
I
I don't,
don't want
is
to
it, is
use
it
it.
hooked up to and what's it called?
It's a Wacom, and you use it to draw.
Oh, very cool.
So you would need one of those, and then you'd need basically the Adobe Suite software, which are fairly complex and very powerful. So if you're just a beginner, it can be daunting to have to learn everything about Photoshop or everything about Flash, which is what I use. There's lots of software in the Adobe Suite that I personally use, and it's very complex and it can be frightening and scary to learn. So if you're starting out, I think that the iPad or other tablets are great, and you can get little styluses to use with those, so you can draw right on them. So if you're a beginner and you want to do digital art and you want to invest a little bit of money, you can get those.
Well, thank you, JC, for all your advice and for telling us all about your career. I wish you all the best, and I hope someday you'll come back and talk to us again on Amused Now.
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and I will talk to you soon on
Okay.
Twitter or Facebook.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Kahn, founder of Amused Now. This featured artist presentation has been brought to you by Amused Now Entertainment, a website that enables artists to profit from their creativity. To learn more about Amused Now, visit us at www.amusednow.com or email me at ccon@amusednow.com.